Okay, here's the review for the algebra final. I'm going to do all my writing actually on the answer key so that I can save a copy of the original because I'm not sure that I have an extra one. So I am going to skip 1 and 4, 1, 3, 4, because those don't have a graph. So number 2, evaluate f of negative 5 if this is the function f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 6. So when we do f of negative 5, that simply means to take negative 5 and plug it in everywhere we see an x. So negative 5 squared, negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. Minus 4 times minus 5 is plus 20 plus 6. So 25 plus 20 is 45 plus 6, that's 51. In number 5, a mountain climber is at a height of 750 and begins his descent, so that means he's going down. So he's going down, his height is negative 15 times however many minutes he's been going. So that's how I would write that equation. Now keep in mind your final is going to be multiple choice, and this review is meant for you to go through and answer each question. So now we're in the equation section, so I'm going to solve these even though you see the answers are given, just to review the different methods. So in number 6, we've got to combine like terms. So we get 1 plus, and then 8a minus 5a is 3a, equals negative 5, and then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and we get 3a equals negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. Divide by 3, and a equals negative 2. In number 8, when we combine like terms, we get negative 1 equals 0. When we get a false statement and all of our variables have gone away, that's no solution. And let's take a look at number 10. When I combine like terms over here, I get negative 4v minus 11 equals negative 4v. So if I were to add 4v on both sides, I would see that all my v's go away, and I get negative 11 equals 0, which is false, so that means that's a no solution. In number 12, I've got some parentheses, so I want to distribute that first, and I get 8m plus 24 equals 24 minus 5m. So here's a variable on both sides equation. I'm going to bring my m's all over to one side, and that gives me 13m plus 24 equals 24. So when I subtract 24 from both sides, I get 13m equals 0. So divide by 13 on both sides, and 0 divided by 13 is 0. A lot of students are tempted to make that a no solution, but you have to remember that when you divide 0 by a number, you get 0. Now I'll go back up and work the odds. In number 7, we want to combine like terms. So here's 2 x's. So that gives us 2x minus 2 equals negative 8. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. 2x equals negative 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And we get x equals negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. In number 9, I want to distribute first. So I get negative 8, and then negative 8 times positive 6 is negative 48p equals negative 152. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 48p equals, and negative 152 plus 8. That's where I'm going to get my calculator out. Negative 152 plus 8 is negative 144. and then I want to divide both sides by negative 48, and I get 3. In number 11, here we have a minus outside of a parenthesis, which means we actually need to distribute that minus sign. So 4a minus 5a, that's plus, minus 8, that's plus 8, equals 1 plus 8a. So notice I'm really just doing one step at a time. 9a plus 8, so I combine like terms. Then I want to get all my numbers over to one side and all my variables over to the other, so I'm going to subtract 8a on both sides. And I'm going to move up top here. So 9a minus 8a is 1a. 8a minus 8a cancels. There, now you can see better. And subtract 8 from both sides, and I get a equals negative 7. And that checks out with my solutions. In number 13, I want to distribute. I'll show that down below. So I get 26 plus 8a equals 3 minus 15a. And I'm going to add 15a to both sides. And I get 23a. And then I want to subtract 26 from both sides, so I get 23a equals negative 23, so a equals negative 1 when I subtract, or when I divide by 23 on both sides. Alright, so next we get to the proportion section, and we want to remember that every time we see a proportion we want to cross multiply. And so I'm going to cross here, and that's 24 equals 7 times n plus 5. And now I have a multi-step equation where I want to distribute that out. So 7n plus 35. I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. And 24 minus 35 is negative 11. So I get negative 11 equals 7n divided by 7. And I get n equals negative 11 divided by 7, which is negative 1.57. In number 15, I want to cross multiply butterfly. So I get 8b equals 3 times b plus 10, and I'll distribute that out, and I get 3b plus 30. Subtract 30 from, no wait, I want to get all my variables on one side. So I'm going to subtract 3b on both sides. So I get 5b equals 30, divide by 5 on both sides, and I get b equals 6. In 16 and 17, we're going to solve that just like an equation, except we have an inequality symbol. So we're going to distribute first. So that gives me 5 minus 49 plus 56p greater than or equal to 180. So combining like terms, and 5 minus 49 is negative 44 plus 56p equals is greater than or equal to 180. So add 44 on both sides, and I get 56p is greater than or equal to 224. And I'm hoping that's going to divide evenly by 56. It does, so p is greater than or equal to 4. In my other problem, let me start it out the same way. 222 is greater than or equal to 42x minus 30. Add 30 to both sides. And I get to 52 is greater than or equal to 42x. Divide 42 on both sides. And then let's hope that that divides evenly. 6. So if 6 is greater than or equal to x, when I rewrite it in opposite order, I do have to flip the inequality symbol. So x is less than or equal to 6. In numbers 18 and 19, we have compound inequalities. So I'm going to get a sheet of scratch paper to show my work on those. I'll just put that right up underneath here. Okay, so compound inequality, we want to solve both sides. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem down here. 7b minus 2 is greater than negative 51, and 3b minus 10 is less than or equal to 17. So I'm just going to solve each equation, and then I'm going to combine my solutions to have a compound inequality. So that's negative 49, divide 7, divide 7. So I get b is greater than negative 7. And then here I want to solve this one. 3b is less than or equal to 27. So even though it doesn't say solve and graph, I want you to be able to picture what this solution looks like, okay? So any number b that's greater than negative 7, so here's negative 7 on the number line, say if that was 0, and positive 9 would be all the way on the other side over here. So any number that's greater than negative 7 and less than or equal to 9 would be a solution to this problem. So any number between those two numbers, so like if I plugged in 1, I would get a true statement, like 7 times 1 is 7 minus 2, 5. Is 5 greater than negative 51? Yes. Anything between those two numbers would make a true open sentence. So in number 19, again, I'm going to write out my problem on my scratch paper just to give me the proper room to work it out. Slide this over. Okay, and I'm going to solve each one individually. And I think on this one I'm going to get a chance to demonstrate to you the one thing that students constantly are forgetting with inequalities, and that's when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality symbol. So that's 6.5. So notice when I divided through by negative 10, I had to flip that less than and make it a greater than. Let's see that. I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides on that one. 6p is less than. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. So see here, I'm dividing by a positive, so I don't have to flip the inequality symbol. And this compound inequality has the word or between it. And let's just take a look at the graph just to remind ourselves why that is. So there's 0, so I'm going to put negative 1 down here on this side, and then 6.5, well, we'll say 6 is there, 7 is there, so 6.5 is right in between them. So if p is greater than 6.5, so greater than goes that way, and or it's less than negative 1, so there's negative 1, and less than, all the numbers less than negative 1 are to the left. So you can see that it's impossible for a number to be both greater than 6.5 and less than negative 1 at the same time. So that's why that's an or statement, because it has to be one or the other for the solution.